Hey guys, Rollout here with another casual unboxing. I'm not doing these as often anymore because, well, first of all, I'm not buying as many Kamen Rider toys this year, but second, I feel like whenever I unbox an action figure or something that I plan on reviewing at some point in the future, I sort of lose a little bit of initiative. I'm less eager to write a real critical review for it later, to continue talking about the toy for a second time. So for anything that I plan on reviewing, I'm no longer going to unbox it. That said, I don't plan on doing an individual review for this, and I am really excited about it. In the first ever casual unboxing that I did, I opened up the ZOIDS Aggressive Murasame Liger, the first figure in that line, and in the video I talked about how if they ever did a Liger Zero, I would be all over it. And we are finally here. Since then, they've made several Ligers. I talked about maybe wanting the Mugen and Hayate Liger in that first video as well, and they did make those, but by the time they came out, I inevitably decided that I didn't really need them. They also made the Blade Liger, which is a design that I absolutely love, but honestly, I'm not that big of a fan of the original ZOIDS series. The tone and pacing, it just seems really off to me, and I could never get into it. But I am regretting not getting the Blade Liger because I'm obviously in the minority, and that design is extremely popular. It's sold out everywhere and is now super expensive on the aftermarket. So, whoops. That said, this is the ZOIDS series I grew up with. New Century Zero, or Zero Century, and Liger Zero is my boy. So, let's jump right in and take a look at the box. Absolutely massive, just like all of the other ZOIDS Aggressive releases so far, but even more so this time because they actually packaged the CAAW armor separately for some reason. It seems even more wasteful than usual to me. It doesn't really look all that impressive from a display standpoint. I mean, you can see all the armor back here, but there's nothing in the background, and it looks kind of empty and boring. But, oh well, packaging decisions aside, there he is, Liger Zero. He has the strike laser claws, his armor is completely removable. This is like the first really good looking Liger Zero that is both articulate and not a model kit. They made a Liger Zero action figure back in the day, but it didn't look very good to me. I think it's like Zoid's Master of Flexible or something weird like that. I never got it because it looked kind of dumb to me, but this one is like the Master Model Kotobukiya kit, but downsized, and I imagine much more solid. So, let's open this up and find out. I think that should be it. I think that's the only bit of tape. Yes? Alright. Yeah, the same, very, shiny, brushed metal cardboard, like on the Murasame Liger's box. Man, this thing is gigantic and unwieldy. I need to get this box out of here ASAP. Okay. Throw that over there. Wow, alright. Is there any more tape holding everything together? I think there is, so here's a bit of tape there. This knife is getting dull, I've noticed. Maybe I need a new one. Or just replace the blade. Alright, so, more tape over here as well. And what about over here? Yep, okay. So, here is a tray that has the armor for his arms, looks like, for his legs back here. These little boosters. Does he actually have, do those actually open, I wonder? We'll find out later. Strike laser claws and his tail. He actually has 4 strike laser claws. I was only expecting 2, to be honest. But let's set this off to the side for just a moment. In a weird way, well, that's upside down. In a weird way, I kind of appreciate that they packaged the armor separately. I think they could have done it in a much more economic style here, take up less room in the box, but from the perspective of somebody making a video like me, it means that I don't have to pull all of the armor off to show off his inner frame here. I can just take a look at that separately and then attach all of the armor. What is this? This is so much plastic just wasted. Here are the instructions on the side here. You know what? Let's take a look at that. I probably won't need them. I am very familiar at this point with how Liger Zero's armor attaches. I have both the original model kit and the master model, but man, like, what is this? Like, all right, I need to get all of this out of the way. Let's take a look at the instructions if we can. Is it just the instructions? Is there like a sticker sheet or anything either? I don't know. I noticed he doesn't have the Liger Zero logos on his shoulders, so it's possible, but what? This is gigantic. Okay. Yeah, just nothing on the back, but yeah, it just shows you how to attach all of his armor and how to work his abdominal area. You pull out the joints to get more articulation in the arms and in the body. Okay, so there is that. Let's see what we got to do to pull out our robot kitty cat. What is going on here? Okay, there's like, it's like a film on the front. This is strange. This is odd. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. This is kind of how the Murasame Liger was also packaged, with this like plastic bit at the bottom keeping his legs together. Okay. All right, get out of here. What do we need to do with this? There's a twist tie at the bottom, which is twisted like crazy, so have our work cut out for us here. Where do I begin? Can I just... In this episode, Rollout struggles with twist ties. Come on. Come on. Alright. I should probably cut this out, but I'm probably not going to, because why not? Oh my God. All right, whatever. I'm gonna figure this out. Okay. There we go. And there we go. Ooh, very shiny claws. All right, now let's get his tail here. And I think his gun is over here as well, which is something that is present on like his inner body. What? This is covered in the same kind of film. What the heck? I've never seen something like this. I guess it makes sense, so like all these pieces don't fly out all over the place, but it's weird. It's really weird. Okay. Come on. I don't... This is tedious. Okay. 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 Alright, give me the gun. He's got his, like, double-barreled blaster. Oh. For crying out loud. Oh, This is the struggle. You know what? I'm just gonna get everything out of these trays, and then I'll come back with a pile of parts. Okay, so that's all that. And then we have a second tray here with the head parts, the gun, and the armor for the shoulders, I believe. The front shoulders there. So let's get this out of the way. Finally, no more packaging, no more plastic. But let's set all this over here for a moment and bring back in a naked Liger. Okay, so what do we need to attach? This is very quickly becoming a let's build. Here is his tail, which I believe has like a, oh, it actually has a wire in it. It's not just like a weird like rubbery material like Murasame's was. I guess Murasame's had a wire in it now that I remember, but this one's a lot thinner, so it's much easier to maneuver. I like that. One thing I really hate about the Master model, the 1:72 scale, I think it is the tail. It just looks really weird, but that one is a whole lot better. And then I think, let's see, here is the bottom gun here, and that just plugs in here. I think. Hello? It's kind of scary and tight. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And then you have a little panel at the bottom here, which you can replace with one that you can attach a stand to, and I see no reason not to just swap this out completely and keep it like this forever. Like, you're not going to be looking at the Zoid from the bottom, and like, why not just have that stand compatibility? But there is Mr. Liger unarmored. So, the cockpit, yes, the cockpit actually opens properly with the ears and everything. The Master model, the cockpit opens at this point here, which is not accurate to the show or the original model at all. That's something that always kind of annoyed me. But yeah, it opens properly here, so that is good. It's got his very sharp, fierce-looking teeth. Love that. The gun doesn't go up and down, but it does go side to side. That's kind of interesting. His body can separate, and you have this movement here. Doesn't go up and down there, just side to side, and then an up and down movement here. You know what? It always seemed to me like you should have ball joints in the waist, so you could get a little bit more movement side to side or up and down on both points, but whatever, it's fine. And then let's take a look at the legs. Let's go forward and back. I believe they go out a little bit, so you can get more side to side. Bends at the elbow there, only 90 degrees, but that's fine. Goes like that. This one here, let's see how far this bends. Yep, pretty far. And then ball joint and hinge there as well. And then of course you have the tail hinge as well as the wire. And then a little joint up here. So that is pretty sweet. Of course, this articulation is going to be a little bit hindered once we have the armor attached. But first, let's see how easy it is to swap the claws. Well, we have less things getting in the way. How are these attached here? Just looks like they're plugged in this way. So, I don't know how I feel about this. Seems to me like they should just slide out like that. Ah, okay. And then, I think this is the right one here. That just plugs on there, like that. Okay, cool. So, you got your Strike Laser Claw! That is pretty awesome. We'll come back to these later. I'll show them off with all four in just a little bit. But let's attach all the rest of the armor. So let's start with the body. First, we have this piece here, which I think just kind of goes in here somehow. Oh, that's one side in. And there's the other side in. Okay. So even though this doesn't move up and down, there's still clearance there for it to fire feasibly. Okay, then you have the stabilizer fins here. These are for when he runs real fast. They keep him down so he doesn't lose his balance or start flying. Yeah, wings to make it so you don't fly, I know, but that's how they work. Downforce and whatnot. Alright, and then this piece here just plugs on like that. You have this, that, nope, other way. Goes up here. You have a gun on the end of the tail. A little wiggly. And then you have the booster unit. Let's take a look at this. Gold paint there, some gunmetal. See, these are less interesting than I was hoping they'd be. On both the original model and the master model, these kind of extend in some way. And then like this bottom part also comes out, but no, this here is like literally the only moving part. This doesn't even move at all. So less articulation here than I imagined, but hey, less moving parts means that there's less getting messed up or moving when you don't want it to. But there you go, there is the booster unit. Moving on to one of the back legs. On these pieces here, you can see at the back, there is a little designation. I think it's right there. Yeah, RL. So this is right, left. That's how you know which of these pieces to use. And even though there are holes here and here, I think that's just to be accurate to the original model because it plugs in using these here at the front. Just like that. Okay, and then this piece, I don't think it has a designation. I think it doesn't matter which of these you use on either side. So this plugs in there. And then this piece here goes this way. Like that. So there you have one of the back legs. Alright, and then for the front leg here, you have the slightly smaller pieces. So this one is front right. And I think it just goes on the same way. Yeah, it plugs into the front of the arm. Just like that. Nice click. And then you have this piece, which just goes on like that. And finally, let's arm up the head. So at the bottom here, you have this piece, which just slides in here. Oh, it does have a hinge there. That's good. Then let's take this top fin section and plug that into the cockpit here. Looks a little weird this way, but oh well, let's fix that. Then you have this side panel here, which has like some weird hinges going on in here. So like these can come out all the way for some reason. I don't really understand why. Maybe it's just so that they collapse into the side of the head a little bit better and then can come out to flare open. I don't know. But this just plugs in here like that. Oh yeah, that's looking like a good boy. That's the Liger Zero I know. There you go, just like that. I am so happy right now. Having had some time to mess around with this guy and get him into a pose, I did notice that the armor really doesn't get in the way as much as I expected it to. There are a couple points of contention, like these here can sometimes, cause some problems, but not too bad. I do wish that these could move separately a little bit. I'm kind of spoiled by the larger model kit where there's an added bit of articulation in here. This whole section is kind of a separate piece. So that's a little disappointing that I don't have that possibility anymore. I do find that the boosters not being able to move also causes some problems in the upper legs here. Again, it's not too big of a problem, but it is something that I noticed. These fins here don't really get in the way at all, I've found. Like I said earlier, like I demonstrated, they have like a double joint here and pull out all the way like this. And then you can furthermore collapse them into the body like that. So they really don't cause many problems, I've found. But overall, I find him a little bit more freeing to pose than something like Murasame Liger, and I think that's just because Liger Zero has a much more simple design. I noted that his tail is a whole lot thinner, and I find that expression so much better than the thicker tail on Murasame Liger. You can get a lot of movement out of that, and it's really super cool. So anyway, let's move on to some comparisons. Here he is next to another Kotobukiya Liger Zero. This is the large-scale master model. And of course, this guy is a lot more detailed, being, a very complex and very large model kit. You can cram a lot more detail into it. That said, a lot of the details on this kit aren't show accurate. They're just kind of thrown in there for the sake of it. It's really just stylization. And I tend to like the more show accurate appearance of this a little bit better, I think. I think there's still a little bit of Kotobukiya stylization here, but it's a much nicer balance, I think. I like the gold on this guy a whole lot better. This guy has kind of like a champagne gold. He also has some painted parts thrown in, which were, pre-painted right out of the box. And that is also a much nicer color than the gold plastic here. I mentioned earlier that I really hate the tail on this because all of these hinge joints here are pre-bent. It's really awkward and it's really tough to pose it in a natural way, I've found. But again, you do have this added joint here. These can also move. You can also just kind of pull this section off and pose the arms and then replace it, which I find interesting. This has a pre-painted pilot inside. You have a little bit cloud inside there, but the cockpit doesn't open accurately. Just this front section opens, whereas on this model, no, you don't have a pilot, but it opens like it does in the show. So yeah, both of them have their ups and downs. There's a lot of personal preference involved here because if you like the more detailed look, even if it's not show accurate, then, this still has its merits, but this one's just a whole lot more solid. He's not quite as solid as something like a Figuart. I think I mentioned that in the Murasame Liger video. The plastic is noticeably a little less quality than something from Bandai, I think, but still a step up from the, CLAAAW model kit material here, and I just find this one much more fun to play with. Alright, so here he is next to the original Liger Zero. I don't have the armor attached because I like to display this with the master model and I want them looking a little bit different, so I pulled all the armor off of this guy. But of course, he doesn't really have articulation. I took the batteries out, so I can't show you the motorized feature anymore. But here's a good example of, the two forms of Liger Zero at his core without all of these CAS systems. So there he is, unarmored. There he is with the basic armor, and yeah, this guy's about the same scale as the master model, so you can see this is 1:72-ish, and this is 1:100. And then finally, here he is with the Murasame Liger, who is up on a stand here. Again, these are completely compatible with the Bandai stand, so get yourself an Act 5 stage like this, and you are good to go. I think these guys look great together. It really shows off the differences in their design. Very different approaches to the Liger aesthetic. I like them both, equally, I think. I think this guy looks awesome, but Liger Zero, of course, to me is much more nostalgic, and he's just got a simpler design, so he's much easier to manage. That said, Murasame Liger does have this katana up top here, which opens up a lot of posing options. But having both of these together really does sort of make me start to regret not getting Blade Liger just to kind of complete the trifecta. I don't know, I don't like Shield Liger as much, but maybe if they go back and do a Shield Liger, just that I can have all 3 series represented in some way, I might have to go ahead and get that. And man, if they do a Berserk Fury or Berserk Fuhrer, that'll be really tempting. They did do a Geno Breaker to go along with Blade Liger, so it is possible. But, then this guy would be a little bit lonely. I wouldn't have anything to display along with him, so then maybe I'll have to get Mugen and Hayate, and this is starting to become a rabbit hole, isn't it? Can you tell that I'm excited about this? If there's one thing this certainly has over the Master Model, it's the Strike Laser Claws. You get 4 of them, and each one can be put on any of the paws, so you have some options as far as the positioning of the claws goes. But man, I have been waiting so long for a Liger Zero that's show accurate, articulate, and about this scale. And, I mean, sure, the Master Model does have some neat things like the removable Ultimate X Core and the pilot, but this one certainly delivers. It's expensive. It's probably going to run you about $70 at least, but if you're a fan of ZOIDS, of New Century, of Liger Zero, I think it's certainly worth it. It was for me. So, that is about it, guys, and this has been Rollout, signing off.